Hey guys, so I was determined that I was going to use this green paper that came in this Studio Calico kit. Of course, this is part of the series Kill the Kit. So I'm looking through everything that I have left in the kit. And someone asked me a question about whether or not I make layouts that I don't like when I force myself to use what's left of the kit. And no, I don't. I find one that it's a challenge to use up the supplies that are left in the kit, and I take that challenge as something that how can I make this work so it does turn out to be a layout that I like. So what you're going to see me do here is as I said, I don't like this green paper. I don't like the color of it. I'm not a green person. But I'm scrapbooking a picture of my nephew William, and he's wearing a shirt. It's he had pictures taken for St. Patrick's Day. And his shirt says part Irish, all trouble, which is what I'm going to use for my title. And what I'm doing here is I'm mixing some gesso with some acrylic paint in a green that I like a little bit better than this green background paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the majority of this background paper with this gesso that I tinted with that green to soften up that dark sort of olive green that the that cardstock is. I didn't really like it. So I'm just going to use my paintbrush, obviously, and make a, I don't know, I'm just going to paint a square. I'm going to leave some of that olive showing, but the majority of my layout now will sit against that tinted gesso. So, and now I'm going to take some molding paste, and this is just light texture molding paste, and I'm actually using my Cricut tool. I couldn't find my palette knife, so I'm just using my Cricut tool. I don't use it for anything else. So, and again, I'm using a little bit of acrylic paint, and I'm mixing that in with that molding paste. And I'm going to put the molding paste over the paper. And this just gives it some texture. It looks kind of like, I don't know, rough concrete in a way. So I'm just putting this down, and a lot of this, most of this is going to be covered up. It's just a matter of adding an additional layer. There weren't a lot of papers left in my kit to use, so it came down to having to find a way to use what I had left without pulling out other things from my stash. Now I don't limit myself to only the kit, but I do want to get the kit as used as I possibly can. So that there wasn't enough contrast between that molding paste and the background color, that tinted gesso that I used. So I just added some more acrylic paint on top of that molding paste, and just to give it a little bit more depth and dark, to make it a little bit darker on the bottom. So now I'm fighting with this roll of, this is drywall tape actually, and it's got this mesh-like consistency, and it's sticky, and I'm going to push that in to the molding paste. And at first I thought I would just use it as texture to texture the molding paste, but I actually liked the way it looked when I laid it down there, so I'm going to use two strips of it here, and I'm going to lay it down there, push it into the molding paste so that it'll stick. And then I didn't like the white color of it, so I wanted to make sure that I covered all of the white parts of that drywall tape. And now I'm just using this little bit of bubble wrap to put a little bit more texture into the molding paste at the top. And now I'm going to set this aside and let it dry after I wash my hands, because they get very messy when I work with paints and things like that. And I was sitting here thinking here, should I should I use my heat gun and dry it, or what should I do with it? And here you're gonna see me clean up my craft space. I should have taken this out, but oh well. So I cleaned up my craft space, there it is. And then once that paper was dry, here we go. So now the paper is dry, and I've laid a couple of elements on it that I was trying to figure out whether I liked it or not. And I struggled a lot. The vellum that came in the February kit was a bit too dark. It covered up too much of my background. So I pulled this other piece of vellum out, and I don't end up using it. I use a small piece of it to mat the photo. But My original idea of using the vellum as a layer didn't work out so well. So like I said, I'm just using a small piece of this vellum paper to mat the photo. And just adding a border strip to this pattern paper. And again, it's a lot of when I am using the kit and I don't have a clear direction, it does take a bit longer to scrapbook because I spend a lot of time playing with things to see if things work. And so you're just going to see me here fiddling around with do I want it vertical? Do I want it horizontal? I'm thinking about the fact that I put all that work into all that texture paste and all of that, and here I am covering most of it up, but sometimes that's the way it works. So, and I'm thinking about using the washi tape that came in the kit, but the colors are not quite right there. And here's some of that ribbon that I have left over. So I'm going to use a little bit of that on this layout. And then this is the glassine bag that the labels for the kit came in. I thought that I would use that somewhere. That one doesn't actually end up being used. Here's the labels that don't get used. And then here I decide, this is kind of weird. Here I decide, this is actually the mist that came in the March Studio Calico kit. And I had punched out some stars for another layout out of that paper. And I decided that I would just use that as kind of like a mask, spraying all over my fingers. And then add some of that black spray because the and see here I'm like, oh no. Oh no. See how you can really see that square up there in that upper left-hand corner, and that was just like, oh no. So here I'm going to take a baby wipe and just kind of try to get that very hard edge of that rectangle to sort of disappear. And it doesn't work out perfectly, but I cover enough of it up that it doesn't actually look so weird anymore. It was kind of strange. Because I'm putting this because I'm putting the papers down onto that textured surface, I wasn't sure what to use to adhere it down. So I tried to use the liquid Tombow Mono multi glue, and I didn't think it would stick. I didn't think that there was enough surface area touching to make that stick. So I just ended up using a couple of glue dots to lay that one layer down and to lay my ribbon down as well. I go back and forth from that red, like really sticky tape to glue dots to put down ribbon. And so now things are starting to come together a bit with where I want to put things. And because these clips were green in the kit, I really wanted to use them. So I end up just layering them in those two corners. And this layout actually took quite a long time to do because I was playing around with lots of different ideas and things. And here I'm going through washi tape now because I feel like that edge in the upper right hand corner is a bit too hard. So I just add some of this. It's kind of like it's an olive green star kind of washi tape. So I add that to the upper right and lower left. And then I think about using some paper tape from Seven Gypsies, but that doesn't work out. And then here are a lot of tags from Pink Paisley, and the colors worked pretty well, but in the end I didn't want to use those labels. I felt like putting them underneath this layout was wasting them. Because they have lots of nice detail on them and things, and I didn't want to waste them by covering them all up with that pattern paper. So I have that one Ranger tag there, and now I'm looking for my bag of Ranger tags because I'm going to add a second one there. And I added that, I didn't mention, but I added that smile die cut from the Pink Paisley collection is up there, and then there are two stars laying on the layout there that actually don't get used. So here are the arrows that came in the March 2013 Studio Calico kit. I thought maybe I could use those, but they were a bit too yellow, and this layout is definitely green. So, and that's why those stars that I pulled from Pink Paisley, they don't work either. So here I found my other journaling, my bag of journaling cards, and I'm just going to layer those two up there. And they're really just going to be a decorative element. I don't add any writing or anything like that to them. I just lay them up there to give the layout a little bit more purchase, like give it, make it take up a little bit more room on the 12 by 12 sheet. And I'm using some Memento ink to what do you call that? Ink the edges. And then I felt like because there was manila up in that upper left-hand corner, I needed some manila down in the lower right. So I took the tag part that I took the tags that I had cut off, and I used a little like flower punch that kind of mirrors the flower sort of looking thing that's on those clips, and I used that punch and added some manila, I guess they're flowers, I'm not sure, some manila asterisks. Yeah, maybe that's more appropriate what they are. So I used those to put them down in the in the lower right hand corner to give the lower right hand corner some manila, some of that kind of color, because the only place it appeared on the layout was up in those tags. So here I'm using wax paper to lay out my title, and I want to use the exact I don't know what you call those things, the wording that's on his shirt that says part Irish, all trouble. I wanted to use that as my title. So I'm just laying the letters out here to see how best they fit on the layout. And I find that using this wax paper is very helpful. The only problem with it is sometimes, and this one isn't the case. This layout isn't the case where I felt like I couldn't pull the letters up and get them exactly where they were underneath the wax paper, because this had it has a line of ribbon there that told me exactly where that word trouble was going to go. So it wasn't hard to figure out the placement of this, but sometimes even using the wax paper, I can't get my letters where I want them. But it turned out pretty good on this layout. I was happy with where they were. And then just as just a couple, I'm looking around and I'm thinking it just needs one more little thing. It's not quite done yet. So I went and pulled my St. Patrick's Day drawer out of my embellishment stack, embellishment drawers, and I thought that I would just use some of these on the layout. And the only problem I saw with them was the green was a bit too stark, so I thought that I would make them like a little bit, I would darken them up with that mist from the March 2013 Studio Calico collection. And the only problem with that is these shapes are coated, so they're not absorbing any paint or mist. They're not absorbing any mist anyway. So I decide that instead of misting them, I'm just going to paint them, and I'm going to use that same green color that I used to tint the background and to tint the gesso and to tint the molding paste. So I'm just going to throw some paint on all of these. Such a boring process to watch. Well, I'm going to fall asleep if I sit here too long. But anyway, so they're all done, and then, you know me, I don't wait for anything to dry. So, so we're gonna just go ahead and take those wet as they are and lay them down where we want them on the layout. No journaling on this layout, and I actually have to find Laura to have her tell me what the date on this layout was. But I didn't really feel like it needed journaling. It's obviously a St. Patrick's Day picture of Will, so I'm just adding these shamrocks down with a little bit of glue, a few glue dots, touching up the painting from where my from where my fingers took the painting off of the shamrocks. And that's basically it. That is the layout. So oh, what am I doing here? Oh, Well, there you go. I'm going to add some jute to these two tags. I forgot that part. Yeah, I'm just going to add some jute to the two tags that are hanging there, and that's American Crafts jute from their premium ribbon collection or something. And here's a final look at the layout. So I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.